Okay, welcome everybody. I'd like to go ahead and call the Monday, January 14th, 2019 meeting of the Redevelopment Commission to order. As our tradition holds, we'll go ahead and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll be led by Mr. Caleb.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Please let the minutes show that all of the commissioners are in attendance. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first agenda item is the approval of the minutes. Tanya, can you refresh my memory as to it's only one set of minutes from December 10th, correct?
No, it's two. At the last meeting that we were at, the commissioners decided to postpone the approval of the minutes. So we'll approve the minutes from November the 13th and December the 10th.
Okay. So and we can do that in one motion?
Sure.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion.
I motion we approve the meeting minutes for November 13th and December 10th of 2018.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
I have to recuse myself from the November minutes since I wasn't here, then sorry.
No, that's okay.
And
okay, so let's do that again. We'll go ahead and...
that's okay. I can just write down that Sierra abstained.
Okay.
My question is, Jason, you weren't at the December 10th meeting.
So then I will abstain from
second.
December 10th. I can't second the approval? Okay.
Well, if you weren't here.
Can I say?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'll make that second if it's all right.
Go ahead.
I'll second the motion as presented, recognizing the abstention.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that vote one more time. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Very good.
Thank you.
No problem. And for the last opening agenda item, we are going to insert something this evening. We are going to I would like to seek a motion for a re-election of the officers this evening.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that recognizes the RDC officers as Jason for President, Caleb Vice President, and Dick for Secretary.
I'll second that.
Before we vote, is there any discussion by the commission?
Simply, as being in the position, I would extend my thanks and appreciation to you three for taking on that responsibility. It is an extra task, but one with the extremely amount of importance as we manage meetings, look at agendas, work with Joe in the mayor's office. So let the record reflect that as a commissioner, I'm very appreciative of the leadership we have and appreciate your willingness to step forward.
You're very welcome, and I appreciate the opportunity. Commissioners, anything else? No? Okay. Well, since we have a motion and a second, let's go ahead and take the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Very good. Motion carries. And thank you again for the opportunity to lead this commission. I have enjoyed working with you all and look forward to a productive 2019. So let's keep the momentum going.
Of course, now that we voted, you all three realize there's no pay increase for that, right?
Darn it.
All right.
Got to read that fine print.
You got to read the fine print.
Got to read that fine print.
Yeah. Checks in the mail.
Nice, nice. Very good, very good. Well, before we jump into the old business, I'd like to go ahead and make one more public comment, and that is the fact that being the president of the Redevelopment Commission gives me the opportunity to understand and hear a lot about what's happening with our city, and I'm very excited to hear all the changes and that we've kept the flywheel moving despite some resistance. And the reason why I'm saying this is not to be negative, but rather to encourage more feedback from the citizenry. I'm on Facebook. I welcome communication directly or on the chatters. That's fine too. I know that several of the other members or commissioners are on Facebook as well, but I'm not going to make that same invitation for them. But what I will say is that I'm always welcome to feedback. We don't know how we're doing unless you tell us, and it's much more effective to contact us directly. And we will go to bat and we will understand different opinions. So I would just want to make sure that in transparency as well as an open environment, that invitation is made to the public. And that's a personal invitation for me, and also I know that the mayor's office is very open to feedback as well. So if you have something for the Redevelopment Commission, feel free to reach out to me directly or to the mayor's office. Either way, let's keep the communication strong so that we can continue to build the city for everyone, not just for those of us that are active in the city. And we definitely don't want to separate anybody. So moving on, let's go ahead and jump into that old business. Seeing none on the agenda, I'd like to go ahead and move on to the new business. And we have a few items on the list this evening. The first item under new business is the TIF pledge resolution that all of the commissioners received copies earlier today, or earlier before the meeting. So I would like to entertain any comments on the resolution, any questions that you all might have, and also our information specialist, Ben Bontrager.
This is a repeat for you guys here. This is the Patterson Street redevelopment project. This is just another step in the process whereby you'll be essentially pledging the TIF increment created by the project back into the project to pay bond proceeds for the developer purchase bonds. So this is really just a step in the process to get that finalized. So I'd be happy to answer any specific questions if you have any.
And so just to clarify, Ben, there's no deviation from the original proposal with this. We're moving forward as we originally discussed.
That's correct. No deviation.
And this is simply a continuation of that initial process that we reviewed and approved.
This is just a step in the process. They're committing to a certain assessed value. It'll generate a certain amount of tax increment, and that this pledge of tax increment will help pay for the bond that they're purchasing. So all the risk is on the developer and on the purchaser of the bond. There's no risk to the redevelopment commissioner of the city.
Mr. Shine, do you have any input as legal counsel for the commission?
I'm happy to go through the resolution, but as Mr. Bontrager indicated, nothing's changed at this point. I'm ready to seek a motion.
I don't think we need a reading. I think it was read in initially, was it not?
So do we have a resolution number on this?
I think it would be Resolution 2019-01 is what it would be.
Okay.
This new resolution. The old resolution was 2018 with a number on it, if I'm not mistaken. And I could be, because that was last year, and we all know that's a long time ago.
Yes, there was a previous resolution. This is specific to the TIF pledge. So
correct. So this would be a new resolution.
This is a new resolution.
Yeah, there's no resolution on this, so it would be.
There's no number on this.
Correct.
Nobody contacted me.
2019-01.
Okay.
Is that
all right?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you for taking that. Okay. So from the commission again, is there any questions? Is there any statements or any public comment before we move forward? No? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve resolution number 2019-01, the pledging of certain tax increment revenues from the Patterson Street allocation area.
Very good. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Very good. Having a motion and a second, let's go ahead and take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Very good. Resolution 2019-01 has been approved. Moving on to the next agenda item, the D.S. Smith reimbursement grant agreement. And based on my understanding, this is very similar to the topic that was covered in the previous meeting on December 10th, and we'll welcome Ms. Molly Whitehead to the podium.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. Molly Whitehead, Executive Director of the Boone EDC. So yes, this is related to the D.S. Smith project. D.S. Smith is a London-based manufacturer that is locating a new facility out in the business park. We announced that project, I believe it was late October. They broke ground about a week and a half ago and are moving very quickly on this project. As part of D.S. Smith's negotiations with the state of Indiana, they received a $300,000 Industrial Development Grant Fund, or IDGF, award from the state. How this works is that it's considered part of their incentive package. However, because it is related to public infrastructure, that grant goes through the city, town, municipality, whatever. In this case, it'll go through the Redevelopment Commission. Typically, it's handled one of two ways. Either that public body is actually doing work, the public infrastructure work themselves, and they just get directly reimbursed. Or similar to XPO, it's done as a pass-through, or it's handled as a pass-through entity. And so that'll be the case here, where DS Smith will undergo work, and this is related to the rail spur that will service their facility. They will perform that work and then seek reimbursement based on that, and then that reimbursement will go through you all back to them. In reality, what happens here, we have the contract, which is between the city or the Redevelopment Commission and the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. Once that is signed by both parties, then similar to XPO's award, then we will have a contract between the Redevelopment Commission and DS Smith just to ensure that kind of all bases are covered. We'll of course ensure that the work has been done, but ultimately ensuring that that work has been done to completion will rest with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, who will sign off on that, you know, as the final piece. Of course, the Boone EDC will be there the entire way, helping that company submit the paperwork, get whatever they need done, reimbursed, and make sure it's as seamless of a process as possible. So tonight, I believe it is just the contract between the city and the IEDC, but then know that we will have additional document, or that one additional document in the future.
And Molly, just so that's part of public record, can you give us just a 1-minute, very high-level overview of DS Smith's program and their objectives?
Sure. So DS Smith will be, they'll be manufacturing cardboard point-of-sale systems. So what you see in your grocery store at the checkout lane, or you know, kind of in the aisleways. So they'll be working directly with consumer-based products and those sorts of users. This is really the first of its facility that DS Smith is constructing in the United States. They've acquired a couple of other facilities, but this is really the first of its kind. We have a very large user. Internationally, they're very well known. They're an incredibly large company, paying above average wages for Boone County, and so they're a user that we're excited to have here in town.
And the target number of employees?
Don't quote me on this. I knew you were going to ask me. It's been several months, 160, I believe.
Very good, very good. Well, more than 100, less than 200, all sounds very good to me, so yeah. Thank you very much.
Way to ballpark, what a top politician.
Any other questions, I'm happy to answer.
Commissioners, do we have any questions? Okay.
The presentation, Molly.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, having no questions, are there any comments in general? Okay, well, I'd entertain a motion.
I motion we transfer the grant money from the state EDC to DS Smith reimbursement grant.
I think, actually, Molly, we're looking for a motion, right, to approve that grant agreement. Yeah.
Okay.
Subject to final legal review and approval, and similar to what we did in the XPO project. Yeah, down the road.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, please restate your motion.
I will modify my motion
Thank
to...
you.
Can you say that again?
Yeah, we're looking for a motion to approve the DS reimbursement agreement with the IEDC.
Okay, a motion to approve the DS reimbursement agreement.
Yes, subject to final.
Subject to final legal review. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Very good.
In our defense, this is the first meeting of the year, and motions are kind of new, so we face it as a group. We're going back through the whole thing.
Yep.
You have the agreement?
The IEDC it'll be the circuit template agreement that we did in the XPO that I'll circulate here
Okay.
once.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't have an agreement. Okay. 10-4.
Okay, very good. Moving on to the third agenda item under new business is the downtown facade request for 127 through 129 North Meridian Street. Derek, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight I'm bringing back in front of you an application, as Jason said, and grant request for 127 to 129 North Meridian Street. Matt and Kelly Jackson are here tonight to answer any questions you might have. I can give you a brief overview of this application tonight. This address was in front of you in the, sorry, let me pull that up real quick. The September RDC meeting, they wanted to get started on some of the purchasing of the material that they were going to use for this project, so they split it up into two different applications. The first application was roughly for materials and labor, $100,000 worth of windows. This commission granted them $83,000 at that meeting. They're back in front of you tonight for the balance of the project, which I included in my estimate report. You can see what qualified: the storefront, the masonry restoration, and the framing. Crahan Construction was $215,500 for that work. Harmon Construction was $208,000. This puts them into category 12 for tonight's request, and basically gives them the opportunity for another $125,000 in grants. The $83,000 they already received needs to be totaled and put against the $200,000, which is a max for the project. So that leaves them a balance of eligibility of $117,000. You can see in the grant report at the bottom of my estimate report that they are far exceeding the owner's responsibility for what they need to spend on this project. So they are certainly, in my opinion, should be eligible for the max grant for this project. So, which they've already received a COA back in May from the HPC on. So everything is, all the boxes have been checked on this. And you have all the estimates in front of you. So if there's any questions for me specifically, I'm happy to answer those. If you have any questions for the applicant, they can answer those as well.
Derek, both, maybe. Have you got a conceptual drawing of what it might look like when you're completed?
You know, there was a generic kind of conceptual plan. There's not a very specific one. It basically showed the windows kind of almost whited out, so to speak, with the storefront whited out. But the storefronts on the bottom will, the Patrick storefront, the old Patrick store, will match the Truett side. So that will all, the awning is going to go away, and it'll all flow across the front real nice. So, and then replacement windows on both sides. I was talking with the applicant. This is kind of a unique application. There aren't too many buildings like this in our downtown inventory. You know, the numbers are so big because the face of the building is so big, so to speak. It has the Washington Street side and the Meridian Street side. Mm-hmm. There's only maybe one or two other buildings that have this much exposure, downtown. Most of them are the 25 feet wide, you know, shotgun style, very typical downtown buildings. So this one's a little bit larger because it's a larger building.
Are those two buildings actually one building together?
They're actually separate buildings. Okay. Yeah. So
is anything going to change in the Truett building? Because I know when you go in there, you go down, and Patrick, you go straight in. Anything changed there, or is anything going to change there? You know,
the applicant can dive further into that, but my understanding is at this time Truett is staying.
Okay, I didn't know if he was staying or not.
No, okay. Not yet. So that space will remain the same until Dave moves out.
Okay. So, got any ideas on the other side or anything yet, or no takers yet? Still open, right? Okay.
Do you like him to come up and?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
yeah, we'll have questions, I'm sure. So, I'll go ahead and start with the first question. Is that the 117,000? Remind me what the owner's portion. I realize that his far exceeds that, but on the chart, what's the owner's portion of that?
I think the 117.
I think $117.
Right.
He's received 83.
There, you have two bids here, correct?
Yep.
Crahan and Harmon?
Yep.
And so I assume by that, we're looking at the lower bid of the two comparatives for selection?
Yeah, correct.
Which then would be a total of $215,500? Is that correct. Inclusive or exclusive of the 117 contribution from RDC?
That does not include the $117,000. So in this case, the applicant will be responsible for roughly, you know, $87,000.
And that project will definitely move forward in 2019. There's no contingencies at this point?
no contingencies. Demolition is finished, and they're ready to start rebuilding.
Fantastic.
To that point, then, total investment with the Crahan construction is $663,500, of which RDC will have contributed $200,000 to that.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's exactly what I was after. Thank you.
Well, I was fishing, so.
No, you did great. Thank you for that. So as far as your timeline goes, you said it'll be completed in 2019. Do you have a target date set already, or does the contractor have capacity to get it done? I mean, and here's my reason for asking, is because I don't want to tie up this amount of funds if we don't have to.
Right.
But if you're going to go with the project and it's going to happen, then that makes me much more comfortable, as long as there's no more hurdles in the short term. So anything that we need to disclose at this point to make me feel warm and fuzzy?
The optimistic move-in date for our office is actually May 1st.
Excellent.
So I'll call it optimistic, but.
With that
Feel
move-in
pretty good
date,
about it, actually.
can I assume you have pre-approval for the funding of the $423,500?
Yes.
So that's not we're not contingent upon this?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions? So I'll state a reservation that I have personally, and this is just something to think about, is the fact that that is a large amount of that particular line. As far as our financing, we work a little bit differently, because Sierra, this might be for your benefit as well, is that we work a little bit differently, that we don't have budget lines per se, but we have allocations and things that we earmark the funds for. And the line, and Tanya, correct me if I'm wrong, but the line for this particular topic is $250,000 for the year?
I can't answer that right now. I didn't look it up. But
Okay.
I believe that is correct.
So this is roughly, we'll say 50% of that. So keep that in mind as you decide to vote one way or another, if we move that direction this evening. But that, and that, please don't hear me take anything away from you. It's just a matter of that ties us up. And I don't want to discourage participation in the program, because Derek has done a fantastic job of getting people to start applying and making this happen. So Derek, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Just to kind of give you a recap, and I don't know if I discussed this last time or not, but you know, we gave away around $218,000 in 2018. There was a grant for $83,000, $61,000, $36,000. Let's see, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grants given away last year, and there was leftover money, and some very substantial grants as well. So I don't know if I included that in any information I've given you in the past, but I can certainly forward you that information so you have it.
That's fair, what you provided. I mean, that gives me perspective.
Sure.
So what's the backlog for 2019 looking like?
2019, we probably have... we have 3 applications that will likely be in the first half of the year.
And the projected total of those 3, so we can kind of base that on what our allocations are for this year?
You know, I would say probably grant total wise, 80,000.
Pardon me?
80,000.
So our total grant for the year to disperse is 250?
Correct.
Okay.
Which you fell short of last year.
Okay, we fell short. Do you have any idea how much we fell short last year?
Roughly, you know, $13,000, $12,000.
Okay. So have we decided whether we're moving that money over?
I've not heard any conversation of that. You know, set aside, it'd be nice. Honestly, in my opinion, it'd be nice to continue granting money as applicants are available. Even, I believe the 250 was set aside for a total of 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I believe so.
A year, 250 a year for 5 years?
For 5 years. So there is a chunk of money certainly set aside. You know, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't see what the future holds, but you know, there's going to get a point maybe where some years you don't even scratch the surface. So to give it away while the opportunity is here, I think I feel personally is important. It will spur redevelopment into the future and continue the changes downtown.
Derek, or board commissioners, since we didn't use all of the money in 2018, I don't see why we can't use that this coming year. It's not appropriated money. It's just what you've set aside, and if we have the need for it, we're okay to do that. So, you know, whatever the difference at 32,000.
From last year?
Right.
13,000.
Oh, I thought you said you spent 218 total.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we did, and it was 250, you're right. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking
So
225.
there's,
Rolling over 32 is what you're
we
suggesting.
could roll over what we haven't
Yeah.
spent. I'll
So
check
we
the numbers.
could roll that on top of the next
250
250?
annually.
Yeah, okay, I don't see any reason why we don't.
Can we
so.
confirm that's what our limitations are for each year and for how many years before we decide to do that?
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Derek, remind me, or maybe Joe, how, you said, excuse me again, it was anticipated May, mid-May completion. How does that coincide with the downtown project as it sits right now? I'm looking at three of you, and so maybe Kevin, you can answer that. I mean, are we just gonna have one big grand opening and we can celebrate that, or are we gonna?
Are you referring to like how it would stack up with the completion?
So we're gonna finish this facade program in mid-May, anticipated, barring whatever. Then all the other work that's going on downtown in the square is anticipated to be completed.
Yeah, we have, well, currently as it stands, the work on the square, the only remaining work to be done, minus some issues that you really don't see with related to the traffic signal finishing touches. Really the only remaining construction work, if you will, is at the corners of Main and 39. And it's the northwest, southwest, and southeast corners where we need to finish the concrete work.
How about Washington Street? Don't we have Washington Street to finish on the west side?
Nope, that's all done.
Oh.
It's all done. So the only thing we have is we need about 15 working days, 10 to 15 working days to complete that construction. I say working days, I want to make sure you heard that. Those are not calendar days. Working days in middle of January can be tough to come by. So we're going to take every precaution we can to take advantage of every day we have. We will be pouring concrete tomorrow, for instance. So we're going to try to get that wrapped up as soon as we can, but with more snow coming in, it's hard to judge. In terms of, so that project will be done sometime in the next few weeks. And then we'll reconstruct Main Street from 39 to West Street. That will start sometime in the spring, probably in late February, early March, and it will be completed, I'm assuming, sometime in June, based on the contract requirements. And then we continue going at the same time with Phase 4, the West Main Street project. We continue going west on Main Street, and we'll complete in 2 phases from West Street to Lafayette Avenue in approximately 120 days from when they begin, and they can't shut the road down until April 1st. And then after that, they roll right into Phase 2, which is Lafayette Avenue to Patterson, and they have another 90 days for that phase. So the plan would be by next fall, we will be completing Main Street altogether. But the work on the square, minus the work that has to happen at the intersection of Main and 39, is essentially done. The only other work on the square would be the resetting of the memorial monuments, which that work has begun. Again, though, weather dependent on when we can pour foundations and begin laying, setting those monuments in mortar.
We still got
So in the world of major construction, essentially done means within 60 days.
Yeah, and Dick, you mentioned it there, though. There is a ton of landscaping work to be done, but that is not contract required from a deadline perspective. That is seasonal work, so as soon as the weather breaks and allows for planting trees and hundreds of flowers and shrubs and grasses, that work will also be done in the spring. So,
thank you very much.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions?
And Dr. Taylor, one thing on your question as well is that a lot of the exterior work will actually be completed. So when I referenced May 1, that's actually when it'll be ready for occupancy.
That's
too.
your occupancy date.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
okay. That's good.
Was curious, your date May, and then,
Right.
we're going to have some and Kevin explained. So my concern was we would have a disconnect of completions to the point that having a new building up and running, new facade, which hopefully you'll have occupants for. That's what you're hoping, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
We hope that too.
Good for everyone.
There was not a big disconnect. Kevin, thank you. That clarified. You clarified what I needed. So
I can't think of a better problem to have in our downtown than more construction going on, especially to see people making these kind of investments in our business. To put that kind of investment into an old building, a building, let's face it, is not in great shape right now. There are some real issues with that building. So to see that kind of investment, I hope there's 4 more buildings that are under renovations in the next year.
And I concur. I just was wanting, I'm sure he wants his return on investment to be as timely as possible, and I think as commission, we want our return on investment as well. So that's, I'm very comfortable with the timelines, and actually I'm very satisfied with the work. I kind of go with what Jason said. I had a family from out of town that had not been in our community for a number of years came through and were quite complimentary of, even with the construction, of what had happened, what had transpired, what changes, both as far as, cosmetic and as far as just foundational changes. So I'm very excited. I'm very positive about this. I just wanted to make sure things are lining up and we weren't stretching into 2020 with some stuff. So thank you both for your explanation.
Jason, I got one comment.
Go ahead.
Kevin, I agree with you, except I think people really don't want to see any more orange cones around the square for a while.
I have a question.
Go ahead, sure.
It's just kind of a
If you could go closer to the microphone, please.
It's just kind of a general question. I'm sorry, I wasn't here the last time that you guys came above, so you guys may already know this, but the second story is going to be your guys' offices, is that correct? Do you know, are you guys planning on like bringing in, like opening new jobs with that business, or is that all full and pretty much you're just relocating your office there?
Yeah, so it'll be a north side office for my company that we do commercial real estate development and investments. And so we'll occupy that entire second floor. So the ROI per se is more of an occupancy cost than it is truly an investment. We're from here and we're not going anywhere. So to come back to Lebanon and have an office here was important to us. I'll maintain an Indianapolis address as well. So I'll have a downtown office and a north side office, but that'll be the plan there. As far as the current vacancy on Patrick's side, we've really been pretty open on that as to what the ideas and concepts would be. The timing of their move out actually had a lot to do with the timing of our improvements, because the last thing I wanted to do is have more things out on the sidewalk. So we're actually going to start demo on that tomorrow and utilize that as staging for all the construction to keep all the materials inside and off the sidewalk.
Good plan.
Thank you.
When I was a kid, there was a coffee shop in there, so might bring it back.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions, statements?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think there's anything barring me from making the motion, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the request for $117,000 for the 127 to 129 North Meridian Street address.
Second that motion.
Having a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Very good, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you for your investment. I do appreciate it, thank you. All right, very good, very good. Well, congratulations to the commission too. I think that's our largest grant, so very good. All right, so next up on the board is the request for funding from the Heart of Lebanon. Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Cindy, treasurer for the Heart of Lebanon. If I can get this going here. Just want to go through a quick slide presentation just for some of the events that we put on this year. Is this where it should be starting? Okay. Maybe they just respond. There we go. As you remember, last year we came before the commission and asked for $30,000 for events and another $20,000 for marketing for the Embrace the Orange campaign for all the construction going on in the downtown area. I will say that of the 20,000 marketing, we did spend a little over 19,000 in various ways of we did some advertising for approximately 8 weeks at the movie theater. Prior to movie showing, we had video commercials in there talking about the Embrace the Orange and making sure that people remembered to visit our downtown businesses that were still open. We participated in the 4th of July parade, handed out a lot of items to get people just not to see the construction as such a negative, but to, as like our campaign says, embrace it. We also started doing Free Shirt Fridays. We had shirts printed that has the Embrace the Orange logo that we came up with, and on the back listed all of the businesses and contact information of the ones that were being affected by the construction at this point. And we would give these shirts out at the various events that we would have, and then also we would, Joe and some of our other people would head out on Fridays into the businesses, and some of the patrons of these businesses, we would give them T-shirts to also convey the message of embracing the construction and what's going on in our downtown area. So this is the Embrace the Orange logo that we came up with, and this is what we would use on our T-shirts and so forth. One thing that Joe especially has been very good about, and that is giving daily updates on the construction through Facebook in the heart of Lebanon. What's going on at this time, if there are going to be any obstacles people should look for, what's opening up, what's going to be closing. So those daily updates, and here again, some of that money was also used to boost these posts out to the Facebook audience. Lebanon City Market is one of our events that we have May through October. We're kind of going through a little bit of a reorganization phase right now. We're trying to decide, doing a little bit of research and trying to decide what day really is the best day to have this. This last year we had it on Fridays from 4 to 7 at the old Estes building. So we're trying to come up with a new location and to determine whether or not the day and time is still a good one, or if we need to change that. The Mel Kenyon Classic made a change this year. We moved from the downtown area to the park, and that was a huge success. One of the things that I really noticed is being out there during this event is that people came out and they stayed the entire day. It wasn't just coming out for a little bit and watching. They brought picnic lunches. They came out on their golf carts and sat there and watched all day. We had food trucks and so forth. So people made it an all-day event that they actually stayed in, and had a lot of positive feedback for the race being at the park. And I will say that this last year we did spend just under $17,000 on the Mel Kenyon race. For 2019, that is actually going to be a city event. It's no longer going to be hosted by the Heart of Lebanon. For one, it's not going to be in the Heart of Lebanon anymore. We do intend on that being out in the park area. The Heart of Lebanon will help the city, but the city is actually going to be the one sponsoring that race this year. Oktoberfest, we had probably approximately 600 people that came through, live music from Polka Boy, and several giveaways and so forth that we had through this event. Unfortunately, weather wasn't the greatest for us this year. It was we had pretty bad storms clear up to the start time, and so that really, I think, a lot of people shied away. But we did end up with a pretty good crowd for that. Oktoberfest, we spent just a little over $9,600. Mischief on Meridian, this is actually our most popular event and probably the most heavily attended event. This year with the construction, we were a little limited on space, so I would say, guesstimating our attendance was probably around 3,000 this year. We have been, in past years, upwards of close to 5,000 and 6,000 for this event. We did expand it a little bit as far as we had some live music this year. We also had silly safaris, and they brought some of their small animals for the kids to see and so forth. This is an event that we would really like to expand upon more as the downtown opens up and gives us a little more space, but it is one of our most popular events that we offer. This event, we spent $7,500 for this event this year. For this one, we have a lot of organizations, or the churches and nonprofit organizations and some businesses that come and set up as trunk or treat stations. They supply all their candy that they hand out, although we do buy quite a bit of candy to have as backup supply, which, trust me, we usually end up going through that as well. But I would say that we probably had 15 to 20 organizations, and some of them had multiple vehicles. So every year we get more and more participation in this event, as well as attendance. And the nice thing about it too is that we do partner with the Parks Department. We have the hay rides that go back and forth to Fright Forest. It works out nice because they have their fright-free hours earlier in the day, and so people can attend that. They could park downtown, take the hayride to the park for the fright free, and then come back in time for the mischief. Christmas on the Square is also a collaboration with the park. We do it in conjunction with the park parade and the activities that they have in the park during the day. This is something that seems to be growing more as well. Not really sure. I don't know, Joe, if you have kind of a guesstimation on people downtown for this last year, or?
Well, sadly, again, weather was a factor, and so that it had rained all off and on throughout the day. And when it came time for Santa and the rest of the parade to come through, probably less than 300 people, probably closer to 250. But in years past, where the weather's been quite comfortable, attendance has been more. And so, like Cindy said, looking forward to that event, taking the next step as we continue to add things to it and hopefully have better weather for it.
But we have live reindeer this year. We had what they call the sweet shop. We had a large heated tent with vendors selling cookies and candies and so forth. One of the incentives that we did this year also is we did a Christmas cash, excuse me. And with the Christmas cash, it was giveaways, and whoever's name was drawn for the giveaways on the Christmas cash, they were able to use that at the participating downtown merchants and the Heart of Lebanon to reimburse those merchants for that dollar amount. So put approximately $3,000 back into the downtown merchants as well. What we would like to do this year is, like I said, last year we asked for a total of $50,000. This year we'd like to ask for just $30,000, $20,000 of that being for events. We were able to bring approximately $45,000 more in outside of the RDC funds last year, and we have been able to build some of those relationships for money coming in. So we would like to ask for $20,000 for events, and then also with the west side of the square coming up with the construction, just $10,000 for marketing as that starts in the spring and so forth.
So, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. I'd like to go ahead and open it up to questions from the commissioners.
How do you see using the $10,000 for the upcoming phase of the downtown project?
Part of it would probably be similar to some of the things that we're doing now for the current construction areas, only focusing on the new areas that will be affected by the construction. Excuse me. So, we'll probably do more T-shirts and handouts. We definitely want to do more advertising. I don't know if we'll get to do the theater again, but definitely with, more advertising. And one thing that we had talked about doing was, and this would be for events and or maybe the construction, but is placing a quarter to half-size page ad in the paper once a month with a calendar, everything that's going on, not necessarily just Heart of Lebanon, maybe some other free events that might even be going on, but, as well as Heart of Lebanon events. If there's anything, construction-wise, that maybe we need to be looking for during these times, if a certain street's going to be closed, et cetera. But just, more communication. And that's one thing that we really want to focus on this year is more marketing, whether it's for the construction or events themselves, is just, we need to focus more on marketing.
As far as the marketing goes, have you asked the owners what's worked for your previous campaign? I mean, we had a whole year of construction. Have you closed that loop?
Joe, I'm going to let you answer that.
Yeah, when the Free Shirt Friday has given us a great opportunity to go and speak face-to-face with a lot of the owners, and then some have come to board meetings and talked. What Cindy didn't mention, but the Heart of Lebanon touted, where we talked to the business owners, and they said lack of parking was going to be a huge issue throughout the construction phase, and so we were able to secure, the Heart of Lebanon was able to secure some parking spaces to help out during that construction. So that may be something that we revisit as we deal with the residents on West Main and also the businesses on the west side of Lebanon Street. And so we have a great opportunity to go face-to-face and talk to them on a weekly basis, daily basis, as we're downtown every day, to be able to hear what is working, what isn't, but willing to do whatever it takes to help them succeed during construction.
Okay. So that, I'm assuming those details haven't been worked out for 2019 yet, as far as?
No, like Cindy said, we have a little less than $1,000 to work with, so as of right now, we're very limited. And
Okay.
so we're hoping to be able to have that, we've actually delayed our January meeting for the Heart of Lebanon to be able to see what kind of funding we have to work with for 2019, and then lay that out and start to implement that as construction starts on West Main and beyond.
So typically in the past, I know that I've asked to understand what was spent in the previous year, which this presentation helped with that, but also to understand what the next year looks like. And one of the things that stuck out to me was the fact that I don't have a good understanding of what the RDC's money was, what portion the RDC funds were in comparison to the private donations, because the goal was, as we've always said, was to become self-sufficient,
Right.
Correct? So talk to me about that. How was the campaign this year? How was the fundraising? Talk to me a little bit more about that, please.
Joe, you're the one that does most of the campaign, so I'm
Yep.
going to let you.
Yep. We nearly doubled what the RDC put forward, and we're able to use that as momentum to be able to gain more of those fundraising dollars. And heading into 2019, still waiting on a few yeses and actual dollar amounts to come out, but I'm sure they'll flesh out and they'll work out the way they're supposed to. But the way the RDC's money is being invested, it is restricted funding, and so we can't use it for staff. We can't use it for the Heart of Lebanon office space itself. There are certain restrictions put on that, and so when Cindy was reading the dollar amounts, many of those, if not all, were from RDC funds, and so we were able to secure some other donations to be able to put forward for other initiatives we'd like to do. We'd like to really dress up the office space. We'd like to have a makeshift store in there as well, a partnership with the ARC, and really take the next step. RDC money cannot be used for those sort of things, so that's where a lot of that money is going. And so really what we'd like to do with the RDC's continued support, if you guys decide on it, is to be able to augment many of the events that we do, specifically through increased marketing and making those events that have, whether it's a bad weather day or not, having an Oktoberfest that exceeds expectations, and continuing to build on that and not grow stagnant, because that's one of the things that we would like to stay away from, is doing the same thing over and over every year, because
We're
we get tired.
heading into year 5, and we have found some events that are really popular and that work with the community, and we'd like to expand on those. Of course, to be able to expand, it does take more money. But we would like to, to offer more things at these events for the public, and And, you know, all of these, outside of Oktoberfest, all of these events are free to the public. We don't charge anything. The only event that we charge anything for is Oktoberfest, because that is strictly a 21 and over event. But, you know, this is something that, you know, we want to make sure that we keep expanding on these. And then, you know, even to the point, especially with Mischief going to, or not Mischief, but Melkenyan going to the city, you know, look at maybe adding one more new event for the Heart of Lebanon. But we don't want things to hit that plateau or become stagnant and it just be, you know, the same old thing and people start losing interest in it.
So what's the projected investment in the Melkenyan from the Heart of Lebanon then? Because that is the majority of your funds that were invested in 2018.
I would say, I mean, right now, I'm not really sure what the city's, you know, budget is for Melkenyan, but right now, as far as I know, the investment will be more manpower than it will be dollars. Mm-hmm. You know, the money that we will be saving by not spending on the Melkenyan, we're hoping to use towards additional marketing and additional growth in our current events, and then, like I said, possibly even adding another event into our calendar.
You had previously mentioned Facebook advertisements, paid advertisements to reach outside of Lebanon. Mm-hmm. Are there going to be any other focused efforts to reach the surrounding communities, to draw those people in? There's a noticeable increase from people coming from Zionsville and Jamestown, Thorntown.
One thing that we've talked a lot about doing that we would like to do is more of the geofencing, mm-hmm. Especially like with, you know, Oktoberfest, you know, so we can, you know, hit some of these events that are around us that might be similar to what we're wanting to hold. So, you know, people go into their Facebook or you know, onto their internet or something like that, and these advertisements for our event starts popping up because that's what they've searched. But we would like to do a lot more, you know, marketing in that fashion as well.
Okay. I may have missed it, but the cost for the Christmas event?
Oh, $7,400.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
And then just make sure my numbers are right. You indicated there was an additional $45,000 of donations last
Mm-hmm.
year.
Mm-hmm.
So all told, there was $95,000 at the discretionary expense of the Heart of Lebanon. The $50,000 that the RDC provided.
Yes, because we spent approximately, between the marketing portion and the event portion, we spent approximately a little over $78,000, and so we do have a little bit left over as well that we're carrying over into this year.
So from my position, I see that there was a productive 2018, but I don't have as clear a vision for 2019. Mm-hmm. So this is just my humble opinion. I'm only one member of this commission, but from what I'm seeing here, I don't see a clearly enough defined plan to approve this level of funding this evening. So I just wanted to go ahead and make that statement as far as what my position is. I support the Heart of Lebanon and all that they do. I'd just like to understand a little bit more about what the plan is. So that's my position. I'd certainly entertain any other positions that the commission may have. And if there is a motion to approve the funding, then of course I will foster it, but I'm just not confident that I have enough information to vote for it.
And I guess I would concur, Mr. President. I think two sides of that, not enough information to decide about moving forward with the reallocation of the Melkenyan Classic to the city, and that being a major expense that the Heart of Lebanon has taken on, and I think is a positive impact. But then also on the backside, I would like access to more specific financial expenditure sheets. You know, and we had advertising at the movie theater. We had 4th of July advertising. We had T-shirts handed out. Joe handed out T-shirts in the appreciation kind of for people current. But I just don't have. I mean, I'm looking at close to $95,000 with approximately $17,000 in reserve, if my math is right. So I would like a little. I need a more clarification. To that, I will add the additional $10,000 for promoting the construction opening. I find to be a little excessive given the given the timelines we have. We're coming to a closure on that. The west side of the square has a different feel with regards to parking needs as far as businesses that are there. I certainly could understand and voted for the money last year, but we were looking at primarily three quarters of the square that we were dealing with. So I'm struggling, to be quite honest, with that allocation. So if the motion's to be made for all 30,000, I'm not comfortable in that right now. So concur that I'd like a little more information about moving forward. You know, and I want to compliment you. I don't care about weather. We're Indiana. It could be 80 degrees tomorrow, and it'll snow on Saturday. Weather's irrelevant. You put on a good event, it's going to cost you X number of dollars, whether it's 20 below and 17 people show up, or it's 40 degrees and 150 or 300 or 600 show up. The fact that it's there, you can't count on the weather. So it doesn't really bother me one way or the other if attendance is down this year because the weather was bad. If the event is worthy and it's continued, then it'll be well attended when the weather's there. I do think the mischief on the square, being an educator, I do hear good feedback for that for several reasons. One, for cost effectiveness of maybe the families that can't afford others, and also from a safety factor of having a controlled environment. So the 20,000 I'm much more comfortable with at this point, but the 10,000 I have to tell you, I don't see the bang for the buck on that with regards to continuing letting folks know we're open for business. You know, we had a couple of businesses that closed during this season on the square, and we had some that prospered, some that shut down for renovation. We got new businesses coming in. It's the life cycle of Lebanon Square. So,
would you consider making a motion on the 20 so we
the
can advance
president asked
events?
for some comment. I'm giving a personal opinion. I'm giving opinion as a commissioner of the RDC that as the information's been presented, those are information I'd like continued. I'd like a more in-depth financial report. If you spent the money all for the right reasons, great. And then it's our job to make the decision. Is it better to, we want to continue that. And where we're going forward, there's a gap there in my mind that we've lost to Mel Kenyon downtown, Heart of Lebanon has. Mm-hmm. And what's that going to be replaced with, which you said we're looking at that. I like the idea that we're wanting to be fresh and move forward. But it's hard to allocate money on ideas from my position. And so therefore I'd like a little more concrete information. Now, my comment was if you're asking for one motion to acquire $30,000, I cannot vote for the $10,000 at this time. If you want to put it into two separate motions, I have different opinion of that, but that's not what you came for. So I'm giving an opinion that was asked for.
If I could jump in real quick, you mentioned the businesses on the square, and just for clarification, the Heart of Lebanon's jurisdiction is not just the square based. To the north, it goes to the Old Memory Hall. To the south, it's where we're at in this building. To the east, it's over where Fawcett and Flame used to be, and to the west is to the Arc. And so if you're looking west on West Main Street, it starts with PC Clinic. We'll be helping them out. Par Ritchie, Moe's Vintiques, the VFW, the Post Office, Titus Bakery, O'Reilly Auto Parts, the Rubber Ducky, Edward Jones, the WIC office, and the ARC. And so all those folks, including the residents, are all in the Heart of Lebanon's jurisdiction, which would all benefit from that $10,000, which is being asked, not just simply that edge of the square, but on west near Patterson.
But I don't see where the construction impacts Par Ritchie or O'Reilly Auto or ARC. You know, their parking's not limited. The contractors and the construction that's actually ongoing doesn't influence. Well, I don't see where that influences someone going to O'Reilly Auto if there's a backloader or a front end loader moving down.
To that point, I would encourage you to go talk to the businesses on West Main who, while they weren't affected right outside their door for the most part, on Washington, on Meridian, and on Main Street, they would say that they were tremendously affected. And you could walk in their front door with sidewalk and parking spaces. And so would encourage the commission to go and talk to those folks because they didn't lose the street right out in front of their business, and yet there was a strong ripple effect, which is why they are the focus of the Embrace the Orange Phase 2 if we get to that with marketing.
Appreciate that, Joe. I struggle to see how someone like O'Reilly Auto Parts suffered from the construction on the square.
I got a question.
Okay.
Was last year the first year that RDC funded the Heart of Downtown?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, so what did we fund the first year? Was that the second year or third year? Or?
I think it's roughly, was it 20,000, just about every year?
20,000 every year.
And then
we upped it last year because of the downtown.
Yes.
And I think this is our third, this is the fourth request, and we funded 3.
I think so, fourth, yes.
Okay.
So we funded 60,000 up to 20,000, and then the request for the marketing money last year was based solely on the projected impact of the construction.
I would kind of suggest maybe we table it to the next meeting, have them bring us some more numbers that tell us exactly what all the money was spent for, and give us some more ideas on where they think, where they need help this year to really identify those areas. You know, I know they're losing some events. I know they're gaining some events. I'll have to go back in the city council budget, but I think we also gave some promotion money and increased that in the city budget this year, for this year. Not sure where all that's going, but I know we did that, and part of that may be going to help this part of it. So I don't know. But anyway, just maybe for them to give us a little more direction on where they're going, explain the 10,000 a little better, where they're going. I can see it both ways. When we're dealing with orange cones and having to help people, direct people to understand where it's all going from Main Street all the way to Patterson Street, it's going to be very difficult for people up and down the street, and still promoting that issue that, hey, be aware, construction's there, please help serve those places. I'm like you, the auto store is not going to be affected. ARC's not really going to be affected because they get their own parking lot. But you take some of the homeowners down there are going to be affected that got homes off in there. Then you come up the street from the Avenue, and you got Royal Cleaners is going to be affected. You know, they're going to be. And then you got the Boys Club. You know, they're really going to be affected, and how it works there. The post office is going to be affected. You got the VFW is probably not going to affect it. They're open after hours more than anything else. So.
Huntington Bay.
And you got a couple little places there along Main Street there in that first block that they're really going to be affected, and they'll probably have a hard time making it, you know. But I don't know. I just like to see some more ideas of what they going to do and how they're going to cover that. So
okay,
I just kind of recommend we table it.
I agree.
Have them work it out some more and come back to us. And
well, I guess that would be up to you, Cindy and Joe, if you'd like to go ahead and prepare that level of detail and present at our next meeting.
Sure.
Okay.
It's not a problem.
Did you have a question, Sierra?
Oh, I did. I was kind of thinking what Dr. Taylor was thinking along the lines of $10,000 is a lot of money for advertising, and I just didn't know if you guys had more of a breakdown of what you guys spent last year on all the signage, and I mean, are people more aware this year already that since construction has been going on, is $10,000 really, you know, it's appropriate allocation? Did you use all $10,000 last year on the advertising for?
We used 20,000. Yeah, we used a little over 19,000 because, like you said, we purchased or rented parking spaces from business owners that were kind of off the square a little bit that had private parking, and made signs for that. We made additional signs and banners to help direct to what businesses and what the sidewalks that were open and how you could get to those businesses. I know it was at least $3,500 or $3,800, $35 to $38, I don't remember exactly, to do the marketing at the theater and to run that video for a couple of months. And you know, so yeah, I mean, we can give a breakdown. That's not a problem at all.
Okay. Okay. So then,
one more.
Oh, okay. Go ahead,
Kevin or Ben. Is it possible to give us a breakdown of the impacted parking spaces in the Phase 4? I know I just created a lot of work. Jason wanted me to ask the question.
In Phase 4,
we're talking about let's over the next street. Well, Phase 3. Thank you.
Yeah, Main
Thanks.
Street. Mm-hmm.
You know, what are we? Clearly, we lost significant amount of access over the last.
Yeah.
2 phases. And I don't know if that helps, that would help me understand, you know, that was significant loss to some of those owners. I mean, not only did you lose parking right in front of your business, but you lost collateral parking. And so I don't know, as I sit here this evening, I can't envision that impact on parking for those businesses. So if it's something you can do, it would be helpful. If you can't do, you can call me up later and say, that was a really dumb question, Bob.
I can give you some more specific data later, but
yeah, I don't need tonight.
Because I'm going off of memory here, so you know the numbers might be off a space or 2
I don't need
here
any
or there.
numbers.
But well, I think numbers help to quantify it. I think if you look at the square itself and you look at just everything around the square, all 4 sides, we probably lost approximately 15 parking spaces around the square. Keep in mind that approximately 8 of those parking spaces were spaces that were non-compliant, according to the ADA code. So, you know, if you take out those 8, the 15 or so spaces we lost, really 7 of them were pure losses and the rest were non-compliant spaces that even if we just resurfaced the street without the major overhaul of the project, we would have lost those spaces anyway.
Let me clarify. I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't speak. I don't care how many we lost as part of the reconstruction.
Sure.
It's how many will we lose during the construction phase where a business will recapture it after we're finished. You could have lost 10 and it looks better than it did and it's more functional than it did. So I guess I'm only wanting to know currently how many are the parking spaces that say are in front of Par Ritchie that we're going to lose, or in front of and you said ARC's got their own parking lot, Dick, and you're absolutely right, so does O'Reilly. I guess I just want to know what's the temporary negative impact for access to those businesses that would currently benefit from a remarketing campaign. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I apologize. I'm not asking for you to tell me how many are there or not there. It's just, can you give me a ballpark that, hey, Bob, we're going to lose 25 out of 40 spaces in the next 3 months.
Understood. I couldn't tell you west of West Street what the parking situation, the parking counts really are. I'd really have to look at that, and I could be ready at your next meeting to give you that report, or I can send something out via email for you to review. If you're looking at just the block between West Street and 39, there are approximately there are 5 spaces on the north side, and there are about 5 on the south side, give or take. So 10 spaces will be out of commission, you know, for the next 120 days while we finish that phase of the project.
Thank you. And Joe expanded Joe's definition expanded the area, so I can actually do an informal on that as well. And
the difficulty west of West Street is that the parking is much less defined. You know, there's a lot of on-street parking west of West Street, but with the exception of, I think, about 4 spaces in front of the post office and then the spaces directly across the street, the on-street parking is very sort of haphazard. And again, we're going to be losing those spaces to reconfigure them to build parking islands to make them more formal. But I couldn't tell you exactly how many spaces are west of.
And I didn't expect that. If it's something you can put together and informally share that with the commission,
it won't take long.
I would appreciate it. Don't lose sleep over it.
Good idea. Thank you. So to I guess put a period at the end of the sentence would be that to be continued would be the best way. That'd be a good recommendation because I think you'd have a much higher chance for success, as Dick said. So.
Just clarification for myself, are you wanting more of the detail just for the marketing portion of it or for everything? Are you wanting to see how we broke down for the marketing and the 20 that you gave us for the marketing? Are you wanting events and marketing and?
It always helps the position of a request when you have that clarity of numbers and specific. Now, no, I don't need to know if you spent 25 cents on a pack of gum or whatever. But I think the more specific expenditure data you can provide the commission, it helps us to say, may even boost your case and say, wow, you need another. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you need another 20,000 on top. Where there's less, where it's ambiguous in my world, an ambiguous financial statement leads to more questions, which leads to reluctancy to make approval. That makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And as far as the detail for the future looking statements, it could be very simple. Here's the here's the name of the event that we plan on holding, and here's how much we plan on investing. Because that wasn't clear to me during the presentation today. So just, it
Yes,
could be
we
a very
will.
simple
In
table.
all honesty, we just found out we were losing the Kenyon maybe a week ago.
No, that,
So.
no defense or
yeah.
justification required. Just, that's just,
So, yeah.
just a request so that I could better understand where the money's intended to go. That's all. Okay?
That'll work. Thank
All
you.
right, well, thank you for your time. Appreciate the presentation today. I don't think so, because there's no motion to,
It's not a resolution.
we don't have to make, if we're not making a motion, it's not a resolution.
It's not a resolution.
So we could just move forward and just have it on the next agenda, right?
But you are going to table
You
it?
can if you want to table it, you can, yeah, if you want to officially do it, then sort of my.
Just put it on the agenda for next time. I don't think we need a motion.
Okay. Agreed.
Okay, so moving on. Item number 4 on the agenda is the claims. Commissioners, do we have any questions or comments about the claims? I'd entertain a motion.
I motion we pay the claims.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Very good. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Very good. Motion carries. Is there any other items or subjects for discussion from the commission?
I make a motion to adjourn. No, that's-
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second that.
Very good. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Very good. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.